He wants to be on TV. Let's get him
No,
on
no,
there.
I've gone through that phase.
What? Are you?
Power of God
Ben,
trainer, isn't it?
Ben, how are
Yeah,
you?
Ben, how are you? What's
I'm
your name?
very good to see you, Mike.
Mike, nice to see
How are you?
Long
You
time
remember
no see.
my daughter Ashley?
I do, of course. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
What are you doing these days?
I'm going to church,
You're going?
praising the Lord.
No,
Yeah.
really? Where?
I go to an African church.
An African church?
Yeah, out in Scotland.
You okay, cool.
I get a lot of peace out of it too.
Is that in Tralee?
Yeah, and I go to the Catholic church sometimes.
So you kind of go to this and that, sort of
Yeah.
shop around a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm doing a bit of outreach here.
Yeah.
Something you rarely see.
Yeah, that's true.
You rarely see it.
That's right.
But it's very good because I've been having great engagement with people on the streets.
Great.
Absolutely fantastic. Last few days it's been almost every day of the week, except for yesterday. And putting them up on YouTube, shorts, and also feature-length versions.
I might be on YouTube, so
I don't know if you're any
not
good.
sure if I am.
Well, can you answer any of these questions here?
1,000 plus 40, no, I don't know.
Oh, tell you what, you're good at wearing microphones.
Oh, Jesus.
There you go.
Oh, God.
That might be actually too close for comfort.
So what?
Stand back a little
what's
bit.
The question, or
Stand back a little bit now.
Right.
Okay, there you have the Mavs question. You can try to answer that if you like.
Right.
Do you think you could do that one?
I'd be a bit. I'm not the best with maths.
Okay, how about English reading?
Paris in the spring, bird in the hand, once in a lifetime.
Did you pass your English?
I did.
Didn't pass that one. Maybe you
Read
need to
out
stand
loud.
back a bit.
Read out loud the wording in 3 triangles. Parish in the spring, bird in the hand, once in a lifetime.
Now, Ben, are you familiar with those phrases?
No,
You've never heard them before?
no,
You must have.
I had never heard of it.
Bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
No,
No,
it's new to
Paris in
me.
the spring, maybe in a movie.
Maybe when I was a child, maybe.
Why I ask that is because most people, because they're familiar with those phrases, don't bother to read it. They just read, but they don't read it.
Okay.
So what did you read? You didn't read what it says in the 3 triangles.
Does it mean Jesus is the king,
No,
the truth, and the life? No.
no, but I know where you're going. But look, does it not say Paris in the spring?
Paris in the spring.
No,
so,
Paris in the spring. The spring.
Oh yeah.
Now what does the next
Paris
one
in
say?
The spring. Okay.
Bird in.
Does that go back to the Garden of Eden? No.
No, but what my point is that, see, you read that as Paris in the spring, bird in hand, once in a lifetime. When it says bird in bird in hand,
Bird
once in
in
a
the
lifetime.
hand.
There's 2 words there in each time.
Right.
You missed them each
Okay.
time, right? My point is that people may have said, "Oh, I know the Bible. You don't need to tell me about the Bible because I know it already. I've read it how many times?" But I could ask you, could you have missed something?
Sure.
You sure could,
Sure.
because you missed it there, right?
Yeah.
So if you could miss that, maybe it's possible that you could miss the main message. So I could ask you a follow-on question on that, just to
Right.
see how you get on, right?
Okay.
Now, this is in a nutshell. Try to keep it into a condensed 30 words, something like that. What is the message of the Bible?
That Jesus is the king, the truth, and the life. God is. I suppose it's the true message of the Bible to me is that is God to give hope, get hope from the Bibles.
Okay. If that was as simple as you said,
I suppose
It's narrowed it down a bit.
nourishing. I suppose
they could have narrowed it down a bit.
it's about giving hope. I suppose in
Yeah.
a way. Isn't it?
So let's say, what did the disciples of Jesus go out to the peoples around in the different towns, villages, let's say, of the world they lived in? What did they preach, do you think?
They preach that Jesus is the truth and the life. That everybody can be saved by Jesus.
So how does one get saved?
Get saved if he does good. I guess
Does good.
does good. Yeah.
See, that could be a small... I have a sore ankle today, by the way.
Okay.
Now, I got mocked by my friends when I once had a sore ankle, because I said, I've hurt my Achilles tendon. And they said, Achilles tendon? You mean Achilles heel? I said, oh, I didn't know how that was pronounced. Don't be making fun of me for that.
Right.
But
Right.
your Achilles heel could be, you think you know something, but there's a little flaw in it, okay? A pebble in your shoe. Something not right. Because some people have the idea that Christianity is just a new start. Okay, God forgives your sins, And now you will try to live a better life. Okay, now you'll try to please God. But if you should fall, if you should trip up at any point, well, we'll have to bring a big question mark into where you're at, right?
Okay.
But is that really the message? The message is this, that you and I are sinners in the eyes of God. Okay?
Sure.
However, if we were to try to stand before God, we'd all be doomed, every one of us, because we're sinful by nature. Okay? Therefore, we couldn't face God in judgment. No way. We'd be destroyed, doomed forever. To hell with you all, right?
Right.
However, God, knowing that, in advance, decided he was going to save people. Okay? How was he going to do that? By coming into this world, come into the world in the flesh, live as a man, and live a perfect life himself on this earth, and then say, I've scored 100%. Now, take my 100% and give it to Ben. Okay?
Right, yeah.
So that Ben's not saying, I scored 52%. Never mind your 52%, it's not going to be enough. You have to have 100%. When Jesus was encountering the very religious Pharisees of his day, they were known to be squeaky clean. And we're talking about they never did a thing wrong, in their own opinion. Okay? And so you know what they said? They said, we are, of all people, are certainly going to get into the kingdom of God. You know what Jesus said to his disciples? Unless your righteousness is exceeding or greater than theirs, the Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of God. They were horrified. They would have thought, well, if they can't get in, what hope is there for us? Right?
Yeah.
And do you remember that Jesus told a parable about two men who went up to the synagogue one day, or to the temple, and one of them was a Pharisee. He walked in there probably like a peacock, with his Bible under his arm, you know, suit and all on, maybe, who knows. When he walked in there, he started praying to himself, or to God, sort of. And he was saying, God, I thank you that I'm not like other men. I don't do this, I don't do that. I give money to my church. I fast twice a week. So he was saying, I got a few feathers in my cap. I've got a, you know, I'm there. Meanwhile, the other guy who was standing nearby was a tax collector and a sinner.
Okay.
Now, and this Pharisee even said, and I thank God I'm not like him.
Right.
Meanwhile, that tax collector couldn't even so much as lift his eyes toward heaven. He just smote his own chest and said, God, be merciful to me, a sinner.
Yeah.
Now, Jesus said, of the two of those men, one of them went home to his house justified. Can you guess which one it was?
The first man?
No.
Second man?
Yeah.
Second man.
The first man was full of his own self-righteousness. Okay. The other guy completely depended on the mercy of God. Okay?
Okay.
And so if he would have thought, well, I could never be as clean or as good as that Pharisee. But Jesus is saying, you don't need to be. You need a perfect righteousness. And where are you going to get that from? Okay, well, from tomorrow I'm going to try and live a better life, be a better person. Never do it. You would never do it. I would never do it.
Right.
So when Jesus said, but I've already lived a perfect life, let me give you my life credits, and I'll take all your wrongdoing on myself, and I'll take your place, and I'll be punished as if I've lived the life that you've lived, and you can walk away free. You're not walking away anywhere. You're saying, well, thank God. You know.
Right.
So you're thanking God because he has taken your sin upon himself and given you his righteousness. That is the point of the gospel. It's reconciliation. God saying,
reconciliation.
Come here,
Forgiveness.
I'm not judging you based upon the life you've lived. I'm basing it on the trust that you have in Jesus
Christ. I suppose forgiveness is a part of understanding that we all make mistakes too.
Well, mistake is one thing. If a guy said, oh, 2 and 2 is 5, or the answer to this is something
I suppose
like,
that's sin, isn't it? Making mistakes.
We've got to call it for what it is,
about
though.
learning from the mistakes.
Yeah, but we've got to call it what it is. If you said, oh yes, I've made a number of mistakes in my life, like what? Well, the time I stole from the shop. Well, was that a mistake, or was it a sin?
Well, I didn't ever steal from the shop, thank God. But I see what you mean.
Good job, because if you could be recorded.
Yeah.
But let's say that a person knows the difference between a mistake when you're doing your MAVS exam or English.
But it's about learning from the mistakes. Some people don't learn.
I know. There's mistakes is one thing.
Yeah.
Being a sinner and a transgressor of God's law is another. Because the Bible defines sin as this. Sin is the transgression of the law. And we don't say, God, oh God, please forgive me. I've made a lot of mistakes. You can say, God, I need your forgiveness because I've a lot of sin in my life. Would you forgive me? And even if you said, I'm not the worst of sinners, the fact is we're in our core by nature, we're sinful by nature. We're only not doing the things we could do because of God's grace. We could be as bad as Hitler. You know that? If it wasn't for the grace of God. We're all capable of it. Because in us, there's a lot of sinfulness ability because of our nature. You know? So God changes our nature.
Yeah,
That's what the beautiful thing about the new birth is. God will change you from the inside, make you a new person.
Yes.
Okay?
Thanks very much,
Well,
Mike.
thank you. Could I please have that microphone
You
back?
sure can, no problem at
Thank
all.
you, Ben. Now, you said 4,000. The most common wrong answer is 4,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's a good thing that you were in that category. If you'd have said 56,500 million, I would have went, whatever.
Yeah.
Why did you come up with 4,000, by the way? Huh? Now, why did you come up with that?
Yeah.
Are you the minority here?
How did you get that?
Sometimes the minority are right. How did you come up with that? Exactly. You need to give him the microphone.
Yeah, get in here on this microphone, actually.
Where are you guys from, by the way?
Dungarvan. Well, Ireland.
Okay, so do you know why you got that answer? Okay, well, can I get your name? What's your name?
Hannah.
Hannah, okay. What is 1,000 plus 40?
1,040.
Correct. Now add another 1,000.
2,040.
Correct. Now add 10.
2,050.
Yeah. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Right. Another 1,000.
I know what I did.
3,050.
I eventually got to make it 900 instead of the 90.
Oh, I see. So that's exactly where people go wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why am I doing this? I'm actually doing a bit of street preaching.
Okay.
People say,
yeah.
How do you do that? Like, well, just pointing out that people could be so and I want to catch that look on people's faces when they realize that they were wrong because they're so convinced that they're right. And then I could say to them, if you could be wrong about something like that, could you be wrong about other things? I couldn't. I know, but you haven't have you answered the next question?
Yeah.
What's your answer to that one? Like, give him the microphone for that. What's your answer to that next one?
Paris in the spring.
Got a bit of a stutter, have you?
A little bit.
Okay.
Bird in the hand. Once in a lifetime.
Not bad. Now, for the third test, okay, didn't know I had someone on the other side, I suppose. What's it? Read quickly now through this one here.
Read fast.
Yeah.
Finished files are the results of years of scientific study combined with the experience of years.
Very good. Now the question was not that, it was this. How many times does the letter F appear within that phrase? Anyone can answer that, but keep it to yourself. Okay, got an answer? 3? Well done, well done. 5, even better. How did you get 5? 3. The most common answer is 3. Okay? But there are in fact 6. And most people miss that, and that.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh, yes. And do you see anything there, by the way? That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
You see both women, yeah? And final test, I guess, is that one there. What? What did you just say? It could say that, or it could say...
God is now here.
There you go. God is now here. And that wasn't even designed like I was going to say it last. It just so happens.
Your mouth is right.
See? Now, can you see how a person... I like to just challenge people. Could you be wrong about things? Yes, you could be. And I could do a follow-on question. Only if you're interested in answering it. Is there a God?
Oh, you've lost me.
Why? You don't know?
I'd rather not know.
Really? Who's running this show? So he thinks, no, do you have an answer to that? Okay, here, take this. Okay, just answer it then. What's your answer? Huh? Not willing to elaborate. It's only a simple question, like, is there a God? And we could, yes. And how would you define God? Is the next thing. Is it one that you've made up in your own mind, or the one like the one in the Bible, maybe? Some people have got an idea that they've made up in their own mind, you know, and that's why some religions have got, let's say, in Hinduism, there are 300 million gods. The figments of people's imagination, in other words. But the God of the Bible, you would never dream that one up. A holy God, a righteous God, and one that we must stand before one day and give an account of to ourselves. Yeah? Frightening? He's not, you know, he's not going to just let it slide. No worries. He will judge us. Unless, of course, we are standing perfect without any wrongdoing in our lives in front of God. And who would that be?
I honestly, it doesn't bother me or put it down.
It should do. It should do. Because, I'll tell you why, it is appointed unto men to die once. After this there's a judgment. Of course it is. Okay, no problem. Why would you be afraid to say what it says?
It says God is nowhere.
No, it doesn't say that.
Go,
It could say that.
go this.
Hold that, put that on there, put it on there.
Hello?
Stand back a bit, stand back a bit.
Yeah.
Does it say God is nowhere?
Oh, God is now here.
So it could say that, right?
Yeah.
So is that wrong? You said
No,
you're
it's right.
religious. What way are you religious?
Like Catholic. But
Okay.
in general, I think all religions are good.
Do you think all religions are basically the same?
No.
No.
Like different interpretations.
Do you think everyone's entitled to their own religious belief?
Yeah,
Okay, let me present to you an idea, okay?
sure.
A man who believes that if he throws his newborn baby to the crocodiles, he gets a big harvest of wheat the following year. He lives somewhere in Africa. That's his religious belief. Do you think he should be entitled to practice his belief?
I mean, if it's in Africa, yeah. Like, I don't know, he probably has some reason to throw the
Feeding
child
your
into it.
babies to the crocodiles.
Yeah. I don't know, it's for
Do you
them.
think it would be wise to speak to that man and say, you may be misinformed?
Not really.
No?
I mean, I don't really know anything about his life or his culture. Or
But
like,
you know that it's not right. Surely
Well,
you
not really.
instinctively you would know that that's not right.
But if he throws the baby and then the wheat grows, like,
But that surely you don't believe that really is what happens.
I don't know, but it's like to each their own.
Okay,
Like, I don't feel like I have to impose myself onto other people.
okay. So if you saw somebody doing something wrong, you just sort of go, I'm not getting involved, no
Well,
matter
it
what.
depends, like, by what, like, how wrong it is.
Okay. Do you think there's do you think there's such a thing as absolute truth?
No, I don't. I think, like, truths are subjective to people.
That's what you call relativism, you know that, right?
Yeah,
Do you believe in relativism?
like, to an extent.
Okay. So if a person who believes in relativism would normally say there is no such thing as absolute truth.
Yeah. Sorry, but can I just ask, like, what's your opinion?
My what?
Like, your opinion.
I have a belly button. I have an opinion. It doesn't really matter what my opinion is.
Yeah.
Right? But I will say that I believe in truth, that there is an absolute truth.
Yeah.
For anyone to say that there is no such thing as absolute truth, that's an absolute statement, right? And to say that there's no such thing as absolute truth would be an
But
absolute
it's-
example of absolute truth.
Like, it is, but my statement isn't, like, the absolute truth for you.
Okay.
Isn't it just for what I believe?
Again, that's
exactly?
relativism, okay?
Yeah.
Which doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. So, for example, when I say is there an absolute moral standard, what would you say to that?
Yeah, but I think, like, morals change. But, like, there are common, like, morals.
Do you think it's up to the individual?
I think, like, it's up to the religion that you believe in.
Well, let's say, for example, the statement such as this. Can you complete this sentence for me? Taking pleasure in the cruelty of children is okay when
I can't finish it.
it's never okay.
It's never okay.
Raping women is okay when never.
Never.
Okay. So there are certain things that are absolutely non-negotiable.
Yeah, but then you have to start talking about, like, what's the definition of rape? Because like now they're just saying it's sex
I know.
without consent, you know.
I know. But let's say, for example, truth.
But are you Catholic?
Uh,
You Protestant?
we would have to even define the meaning of that word. What does it mean?
But how do you feel? Like, how do you identify?
Well, that's another thing keeps coming up. How do you identify? It could be I'm a tree or something like that.
No, but like I mean religious.
Okay, what I'm trying to get at is this, and I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
Right. First of all, Catholic. The word Catholic means universal, which means that someone who believes that my religion is around the whole world. There are Catholic churches everywhere, okay? But really, you're not Catholic. You're a Roman Catholic. If you believe that my church is based in Rome and has spread around the whole world. So basically, you're saying you're a Roman Catholic. I would say I'm Catholic in the sense that I have a church that's worldwide as well, but it's not controlled or directed by Rome. Okay, it's by the Bible. Okay, and so therefore I would see myself as the biblical definition of a Christian. Okay, now the Bible defines what a Christian is, not we ourselves. If people say, "Well, I'm a Muslim and I also am a Christian and I like to do murders occasionally and stealing occasionally," you can't just define yourself what you think is a Christian.
Yeah, but for example, like, would you think that Christianity or like Catholicism would then work in like China or Africa? Or
It does work in those countries.
Yeah.
Because there is an underground church in China, which is not the state religion. If you want to be part of the state religion, you have to adhere to and agree to certain things.
Yeah.
There are lots of underground churches. The church
But there's a
throughout
difference
the centuries,
between like religious groups in other like, you know, ethnic places and then, you know, like a whole country being that culture.
Yeah, well, there's nationalized religion. If someone says, we're all going to be from tomorrow Catholic, that's what happened in Ireland, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone decides we're all going to be Catholics. It's just like everyone from tomorrow. That has got nothing to do with any personal viewpoints then. And I don't think that's right. Christianity has always been in the minority, okay? But I was on a FOSS course. You know what a FOSS course is? It's basically a training course run by the government where you can learn computers or you can learn whatever technology. And I went on this course and I was in a conversation and I happened to say, when I became a Christian, and these women nearly wanted to attack me and said, "What do you mean you became a Christian? Sure, we're all Christians." And I stopped her and I said, "What do you mean we're all Christians?" Like, she says, "Well, we're all Christians." I said, "So are Muslims Christians? Are Hindus Christians?" "Well, no, they're not Christians." I said, "What about murderers and rapists and thieves? Are they Christians?" "Well, no. I said, "So then, what is a Christian?"
But I mean, you probably would have Christian murderers and stuff like that.
Does it sound right to you to say Christian murderers? People who were murderers who became Christians, yes. And you still have that, label, he was a murderer.
Yeah, but
that's fine. But you've become a changed person when you become a believer, you see?
yeah.
Now, I asked her, what is a Christian? She said, someone who doesn't do harm to anyone else, goes to Mass every week, that kind of thing. I said, that's funny. So you're saying it's really got nothing to do with Christ? But she never mentioned that.
Yeah.
And then she said to me, well, how would you define a Christian? I told her, I said, it's a person who's a follower of Jesus Christ and his teachings, whose life has been changed and he lives according to those things and has put his trust in Jesus Christ. That's it. And she's like, oh, so if people get to define whatever they want as Christianity, then everyone's a Christian. Yeah. I'm a Christian. He's a Christian. They're a Christian. Whatever. Just like if I was to walk up to these guys who are all Muslims and say, oh, by the way, I'm a Muslim, they go, on what basis? I just decided I am one. Really? But aren't there certain criteria that you've got to follow to become one of these things?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you say you're Catholic, I say you're a Roman Catholic. You were probably raised in that belief. Okay, was it in Spain you were raised?
All around the world.
Okay, but where were you living?
Like all around the world.
You've lived everywhere?
Like Spain, Singapore.
Okay, so you've traveled with your family, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So wherever you've been raised in that belief that you've been raised in, have you ever got to think about what are its actual teachings?
It's a bit personal.
Yeah, I know.
I don't really want to answer that in public.
Okay. Well, let me put it like this. I became a Christian. What age are you now?
18.
And 18.
Yeah.
Okay, I was 17-year-old when I became a Christian. How would I have become a Christian at 17-year-old? Well, I'll tell you in a nutshell, really quickly, okay? I crawled out of a pub not looking for God. I crawled drunk through people's gardens to try and find my way home. When I finally did get home, I looked up at the sky and I thought, what if there is a God? I'm in trouble because I would have to face that God. And what if I'd have died in someone's garden tonight? What would have happened to me? And I started thinking seriously about that from that point on. That doesn't mean to say I was changed, but it means that from that point on, I began to want to know, how can I know God?
Yeah.
You have to go?
I do.
I know.
Like
Okay,
I
that's
have,
fine.
have
What's
no
your
idea
name?
where my family is. Joseph.
Joseph, good
A
to
nice
meet you.
Christian name, actually.
Yeah, well, listen, I might have something to give to you,
Yeah.
which is some takeaways, and that's
Since
a
you
miniaturized version of that.
Thank you very much.
And you can read the back of it. There's one you also didn't see. Okay, are you local now? Are you living here now?
Near Malo.
Near Mallow.
Yeah, we just came in for the day.
Okay. Well, it's nice to have people coming from Mallow. Okay, Joseph.